I'm not just here to win. Cartier's voice cuts through the courtroom's electric hum, her presence commanding every eye. Stunning and fierce, she stands on the witness stand, her long, straight hair parted 7/3, gleaming under the lights, her red suit hugging her frame, a white crop top boldly accentuating her confidence. Attorney Holt snarls, "Did you call Miss Bertha fat and rude?" Cartier's smile is razor sharp. "Call it, I'd carve it in stone. She said I don't belong here because I'm black. What's her excuse? A poetry muse." The courtroom erupts in laughter. When the judge declares Cartier innocent, she points two fingers at Bertha, her triumphant grin blazing. "Think twice before you insult again, Bertha." Justice prevails, but how did it unfold? Subscribe, share where and when you're reading, and guess, what's Cartier's next move? The late afternoon sun glinted off the glass facade of the Grand Elegance, a towering monument to wealth in the heart of the city, where marble floors gleamed and chandeliers cast a golden glow over the lobby. Cartier strode through the revolving doors, her long, straight hair parted 7/3, cascading like a dark waterfall over her shoulders. Her red suit hugged her curves, the white crop top beneath flashing a daring slice of confidence. She was a vision of power, a black entrepreneur who'd clawed her way to the top, her briefcase stuffed with contracts from her latest tech startup deal. But today, the air in the lobby felt heavy, charged with something more than the usual hum of privilege. She sensed it before she saw it. Eyes tracking her, whispers trailing like shadows. At the security desk, Bertha Wilson, a stout white woman with a perpetual scowl, stood like a gatekeeper to this gilded world. Her uniform strained at the seams, and her blonde hair was pulled into a tight bun that seemed to mirror her rigid demeanor. Cartier adjusted her stride, her heels clicking defiantly on the marble, ready to breeze past. But Bertha's hand shot up, palm out, blocking her path. "Hold it right there," Bertha snapped, her voice dripping with disdain. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" Cartier stopped, her dark eyes narrowing. She'd faced this before, too many times to count, but the audacity still stung. "I'm Cartier, resident of Unit 2704, she said, her tone cool but edged with steel. "And I'm heading to my apartment, unless you've got a new rule I don't know about." Bertha's lips curled into a sneer, her gaze raking over Cartier's suit, her hair, her very presence. "Resident, you sure you're in the right place? This building's for elite folks, white folks with real money. Maybe you're lost." The words hit like a slap, but Cartier didn't flinch. The lobby fell silent, a few residents pausing mid-step, their eyes darting between the two women. A concierge behind the desk froze, his pen hovering over a ledger. Cartier tilted her head, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. "Lost? Oh, honey, the only thing lost here is your sense of decency. I own my place, paid in full. Can you say the same about your manners?" Bertha's face flushed crimson, her jowls quivering. "Don't get smart with me. I'm doing my job, keeping this place safe from people who don't belong." "People who don't belong?" Cartier's voice rose, each word a spark igniting the air. "You mean black people? Because I've got a deed, a key, and a life that says I belong here more than your prejudice ever will. Or is your job just to play gatekeeper for your own biases?" The lobby buzzed now, whispers swelling into murmurs. A young couple by the elevators exchanged glances, one pulling out a phone, no doubt recording. Bertha stepped closer, her bulk looming, but Cartier stood her ground, her crop top flashing defiance under her scarlet jacket. "You've got some nerve," Bertha hissed. "You think you can waltz in here, acting all high and mighty? You're nothing but..." "But what?" Cartier cut her off, her laugh sharp and unyielding. "Go on, say it. Or are you too scared to admit what you really think? Let me help you out. You're a fat, rude guard who's got no business judging me. Maybe spend less time hating and more time doing your job right." Bertha's eyes widened, her breath hitching like she'd been struck. The crowd gasped, a few stifling laughs. The concierge dropped his pen, scrambling to pick it up. Bertha's hand trembled as she jabbed a finger at Cartier. You'll regret that. I'll make sure of it." Oh, I'm shaking, Cartier said, her voice dripping sarcasm. She leaned in, her three-parted hair framing her face like a crown. You want to play this game? Bring it on. But let me warn you, I don't lose. She turned, her heels echoing like gunshots, and strode to the elevators, leaving Bertha fuming in her wake. As the elevator doors closed, Cartier's heart pounded, not with fear, but with a fire she'd carried since childhood. A fire forged in countless moments of being underestimated, dismissed, or despised for her skin. She knew this wasn't over. Bertha's threat lingered like a storm cloud, and Cartier could already sense the brewing chaos. Back at the security desk, Bertha's scowl twisted into something darker, her fingers already dialing her supervisor, her mind plotting revenge. The city outside hummed with its usual rhythm, but inside the grand elegance, a battle line had been drawn. Cartier wasn't just fighting for her place in this building, she was fighting for her dignity, her truth, and every soul who'd ever been told they didn't belong. What would Bertha do next? Would she back down or escalate this into something bigger? And how far would Cartier go to defend her worth? If this story's got you hooked, hit that subscribe button, share where you're reading from, and tell us, when's the last time you saw someone stand up like Cartier? Guess how this showdown unfolds, because trust me, it's only getting started. Cartier stood in her penthouse, the city's skyline a glittering backdrop through towering windows. Her long straight hair, parted 7/3, shimmered under the soft glow of a designer lamp, framing her face like a crown. The red suit jacket she'd worn during the confrontation hung on a chair, revealing the white crop top that hugged her frame, a bold declaration of her unapologetic spirit. Papers from her tech startup littered the desk, but her eyes were locked on a certified letter, its words searing. Bertha Wilson versus Cartier, damages sought, $500 billion. The number was absurd, a taunt as much as a threat. Bertha, the security guard who dared to tell her she didn't belong, had turned their lobby clash into a legal war. 500 billion? Cartier's voice was a low, incredulous laugh, her manicured nails tapping the desk. For calling her fat and rude? Honey, she must think I'm printing money up here. She tossed the letter aside, her lips curling into a defiant smile. This wasn't just a lawsuit, it was personal, a vendetta dressed in legal jargon. Bertha claimed emotional distress from Cartier's words, painting herself as a victim while conveniently ignoring her own venomous racism. The audacity lit a fire in Cartier's chest, one she'd carried through years of fighting prejudice. Her phone buzzed, a text from Lena, her journalist best friend. X is exploding, Cardi. #billion-dollar beef is trending. You okay? Cartier smirked, typing back, Okay, I'm about to make this beef a legend. She scrolled through X, where posts lit up the screen. Security guard sues for 500B? Insane. And Cartier's clapback was iconic. #Team Cardi. The city was watching, and Cartier wasn't about to let Bertha's stunt define her story. She dialed Maya Nguyen, her lawyer, whose razor-sharp mind had won battles tougher than this. Maya arrived swiftly, her sleek blazer and no-nonsense vibe cutting through the penthouse's tension. This is a circus, Maya said, scanning the lawsuit. Bertha's claiming your words forced her to quit, caused insomnia, and sent her to therapy. She's got a doctor's note and testimonies from her security team pals. Shaky at best. Cartier leaned back, her crop top catching the light. Therapy? For being called fat? Maya, if I billed for every time someone tried to drag me, I'd own this city. Her eyes narrowed. She said I didn't belong because I'm black. That's the real crime here, and she's trying to flip the script. Maya's pen flew across her notepad. Exactly, we'll flip it back. I'm pulling the Grand Elegance's security footage and employee records. If Bertha's got a history of targeting residents, we'll expose it. She met Cartier's gaze, a spark of determination in her eyes. You ready to take this to court? Ready. Cartier's laugh was ablaze. I was born for this stage. Bertha wants to play dirty? I'll make that courtroom my runway. Her confidence was unshakable, but beneath it simmered a righteous anger. For every moment she'd been judged for her skin, her success, her very existence. By morning, the city buzzed with the scandal. Outside the Grand Elegance, reporters swarmed, their cameras flashing at residents who ducked questions. The lobby, once a symbol of opulence, now felt like a pressure cooker, whispers of the confrontation echoing among staff. Cardi A strode through, her red suit a beacon, her hair flowing like a banner. Residents stared, some with awe, others with unease. A young black woman, balancing a briefcase, gave her a knowing nod. Cartier returned it, her heart swelling. This fight was bigger than her now. Across town in a dimly lit coffee shop, Bertha sat with her lawyer, Raymond Holt, a man whose polished suits couldn't hide his hunger for a headline-grabbing win. Bertha's eyes were red, her voice quivering as she clutched a tissue. She humiliated me in front of everyone, she said. Called me fat, rude, like I'm nothing. I can't go back to that lobby. Holt nodded, though his eyes flickered with doubt. We'll frame it as a vicious personal attack, Bertha. Emotional distress is our angle. The jury will sympathize with a hard-working guard slandered by an entitled resident. He didn't mention the rumors he'd heard, complaints about Bertha's behavior toward other residents of color. He needed this win, and Bertha's tears were his ticket. Back at her penthouse, Cartier stood by the window, the city sprawling below. She wasn't just fighting Bertha. She was fighting a system that let prejudice hide behind lawsuits. Her phone lit up with another X post. Cardi A's about to school this guard in court. #Justice for Cardi. She smiled, her resolve hardening. The trial loomed, a stage where truth would face lies. Would Bertha's flimsy claims hold up? Could Cartier turn this farce into a triumph? If this drama's got your pulse racing, hit subscribe, share where you're reading from, and drop a guess. What's Bertha's next move, and how will Cartier steal the show? The courtroom buzzed like a live wire, its oak-paneled walls barely containing the crowd's anticipation. Reporters scribbled furiously, their pens scratching like a chorus of cicadas, while onlookers, residents, activists, and curious locals, packed the benches, their whispers a low hum of expectation. Cartier stepped into the room, and the air shifted. Her long, straight hair, parted 7/3, gleamed like polished obsidian, cascading over her shoulders. The red suit hugged her frame, its bold hue a challenge to the room's muted tones, and the white crop top beneath flashed defiance, daring anyone to underestimate her. She wasn't just a defendant. She was a force, her presence turning the courtroom into her stage. Judge Harold Grayson, a grizzled man with wire-rimmed glasses and a face etched with years of rulings, banged his gavel. Order! His voice cut through the din, though his eyes lingered on Cartier, a flicker of curiosity betraying his stern demeanor. She took her seat, her lawyer, Maya Nguyen, beside her, exuding calm precision in a navy blazer. Across the aisle, Bertha Wilson sat hunched, her uniform swapped for a frumpy dress, her blonde bun unraveling like her composure. Her lawyer, Raymond Holt, adjusted his tie, his slick confidence fraying under the weight of the crowd's scrutiny. Holt stood, addressing the judge. Your Honor, my client, Miss Bertha Wilson, has suffered profound emotional distress due to the defendant's vicious verbal attack. Calling her fat and rude in public caused irreparable harm, loss of employment, sleepless nights, and psychological trauma. We seek $500 billion to right this wrong. The gallery gasped, the absurdity of the sum rippling through the room. A reporter tweeted, $500 billion for hurt feelings? #Cartiav's Bertha. Cartier's lips twitched, her eyes glinting with amusement. Maya leaned in, whispering, he's overplaying his hand. Let's make him regret it. Cartier nodded, her smile sharpening. Judge Grayson turned to her. Miss Cartier, do you wish to respond before we proceed? Cartier rose, her heels clicking on the polished floor, her hair catching the light like a crown. Your Honor, she began, her voice smooth but laced with fire. If my words are worth $500 billion, I should start charging for every syllable. I'd be richer than this city by now. The courtroom erupted in laughter, a few spectators clapping before Grayson's gavel silenced them. But seriously, she continued, I called Miss Wilson what she was acting like, rude, because she stood in my way, saying I didn't belong in my own home because I'm black. If anyone's owed damages, it's me for enduring her prejudice. The room buzzed, a wave of murmurs swelling. A young activist in the back nodded fiercely, her fist raised. Holt shot up, his face reddening. Objection! She's deflecting from her slanderous attack. Overruled, Grayson said, his tone dry but his eyes betraying a spark of intrigue. Miss Cartier, sit down. Mr. Holt, call your first witness. Holt summoned Bertha to the stand. She shuffled forward, her eyes darting nervously, clutching a tissue like a lifeline. Miss Wilson, Holt began, his voice syrupy with sympathy. Tell us how the defendant's words affected you. Bertha sniffled, her voice trembling. She called me fat and rude in front of everyone. I was just doing my job, keeping the building safe. After that, I couldn't face my coworkers. I had to quit. I can't sleep, can't eat. I'm seeing a therapist now. She dabbed her eyes, but the tears seemed rehearsed, her performance faltering under the gallery's skeptical gazes. Cartier leaned back, her crop top flashing under her suit, her expression a mix of amusement and disdain. Maya scribbled notes, whispering, "She's laying it on thick. We'll tear that apart." Cartier's eyes locked on Bertha, her smile a silent challenge. Holt pressed on. "Miss Wilson, did you ever say anything to provoke Miss Cartier?" "Never," Bertha cried, her voice cracking. "I just asked who she was. She attacked me for no reason." The lie hung heavy, and the room's energy shifted. A spectator muttered, "That's not what I heard." Another tweeted, "Bertha's story smells fishy. Hash justice for Cardi." Maya stood, her voice cutting like a blade. "Miss Wilson, isn't it true you told my client she didn't belong at the Grand Elegance because of her race?" Bertha's eyes widened, her tissue crumpling. "No, I just asked for ID." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Really? We'll see what the security footage says." The gallery buzzed louder, phones lighting up with expos. "Security footage? This is getting good. Hash Cartier's Bertha." Cartier's smile widened, her confidence a beacon. She knew the truth was her weapon, and Maya was sharpening it. Bertha's facade was cracking, her lies teetering under the weight of scrutiny. The trial was just beginning, but Cartier was already stealing the show. As the session adjourned for the day, Cartier strode out, her red suit aflame against the courtroom's drab backdrop. Spectators whispered, some snapping photos, others cheering softly. She was more than a defendant. She was a symbol, a spark igniting a city's conscience. What would the footage reveal? Could Bertha's flimsy story hold? If this trial's gripping you, hit subscribe, share where you're reading from, and tell us, what do you think Cartier's next move will be? The courtroom's heating up, and this battle's far from over. The courtroom pulsed with restless energy, its oak benches creaking under the weight of a crowd hungry for the next twist. Sunlight slanted through high windows, catching the gleam of Cartier's long, straight hair, parted 7/3, as she sat poised at the defense table. Her red suit blazed against the room's muted tones, the white crop top beneath a bold underscore of her defiance. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, tracked every move, her lips curved in a knowing smile. She was a queen in this arena, and the gallery knew it. Phones buzzed with ex-posts. "Cartier's owning this trial. Hash $1 billion beef." Across the aisle, Bertha Wilson fidgeted, her frumpy dress clinging to her frame, her blonde bun unraveling like her story. Raymond Holt, her lawyer, mopped his brow, sensing the tide turning. Judge Harold Grayson's gavel cracked the air. "Miss Nguyen, you may cross-examine the plaintiff." Maya rose, her navy blazer crisp, her gaze a scalpel. Bertha, still on the stand, clutched her tissue, her eyes darting like a cornered animal. The room leaned in, sensing blood in the water. "Miss Wilson," Maya began, her voice smooth but lethal, "you claim my client's words caused you such distress you had to quit your job. Yet you told this court you were simply doing your job when you confronted Miss Cartier. Can you clarify what part of your job involves telling a resident they don't belong based on their race?" Bertha's face flushed, her tissue crumpling. I didn't say that. I just asked for her ID. She's the one who attacked me, calling me fat and rude." Her voice cracked, but the gallery wasn't buying it. A young woman in the back rolled her eyes, muttering, "Liar." A reporter tweeted, Bertha's story's falling apart. Hash justice for Cardi. Maya paced, her heels clicking. Really? So you never said the grand elegance was for white folks with real money? Because we have witnesses who say otherwise. She turned to the judge. Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. Jamal Carter, a former resident of the Grand Elegance. The courtroom buzzed. Holt shot up. Objection. This witness wasn't disclosed. Grayson's eyes narrowed. Overruled. I want to hear this. Proceed, Miss Nguyen. Jamal Carter, a tall black man in a tailored suit, strode to the stand, his presence commanding. Cartier's smile widened. She knew Jamal, a fellow entrepreneur who'd left the building after clashing with Bertha. Mr. Carter, Maya asked, can you describe your experiences with Miss Wilson at the Grand Elegance? Jamal's voice was steady, resonant. Bertha targeted me from day one. She'd demand my ID every time I entered, even after months of living there. Once, she told me, this place isn't for your kind. I filed a complaint, but management brushed it off. I moved out because of her. The gallery gasped, whispers erupting. An activist in the crowd pumped her fist, whispering, that's right. X lit up. Another victim of Bertha's bias. Hash Cardiav's Bertha. Bertha's face went ashen, her tissue now a shredded mess. Holt tried to interject. This is irrelevant. My client's actions with others don't pertain to this case. But Maya was relentless. It establishes a pattern, Your Honor. Miss Wilson has a history of targeting residents of color, which directly relates to her confrontation with my client. Grayson nodded. Continue, Miss Nguyen. Maya turned back to Bertha. Miss Wilson, did you or did you not tell Mr. Carter he didn't belong, just as you told Miss Cartier? Bertha stammered. I don't remember. Her voice broke, and the gallery's murmurs grew louder, a tide of doubt washing over her. Cartier leaned forward, her crop top catching the light. Her eyes locked on Bertha. She whispered to Maya, she's crumbling. Hit her harder. Maya nodded, producing a document. Your Honor, this is a complaint log from the Grand Elegance, detailing 3 other incidents where Miss Wilson was reported for discriminatory behavior. None were acted upon, but they corroborate Mr. Carter's testimony. The courtroom exploded in chatter. A spectator shouted, expose her! Grayson banged his gavel, but his eyes betrayed a spark of intrigue. Holt, sweating now, tried to redirect. Miss Wilson, tell us again how Miss Cartier's words affected you. Bertha's voice was barely a whisper. She humiliated me. I couldn't work after that. But her words rang hollow, drowned by the weight of Jamal's testimony and the complaint log. Cartier's smile was a blade, her confidence unshaken. She knew the truth was breaking through, and Bertha's house of cards was collapsing. As the session paused, Cartier stood, her red suit a beacon of triumph. Spectators snapped photos, their phones buzzing with X posts. Bertha's done for. Cartier's killing it. Hash billion-dollar beef. Outside, reporters swarmed, shouting questions. Cartier ignored them, her hair flowing as she whispered to Maya, we've got her now. The trial was far from over, but the momentum was hers. What would the security footage reveal next? Could Bertha salvage her crumbling case? If this drama's got you glued, hit subscribe, share where you're reading from, and drop a guess. Will Bertha's lies hold up, or will Cartier's truth shine brighter? The battle's heating up, and you won't want to miss the next move. The courtroom simmered with tension, its air thick with the weight of anticipation. Spectators leaned forward, their whispers a low hum, while reporters' pens danced across notepads, capturing every heartbeat of the trial. Cartier sat at the defense table, a vision of unshakable resolve, her long, straight hair parted 7/3, gleaming like a dark river under the fluorescent lights. Her red suit burned against the courtroom's drab backdrop, the white crop top beneath a defiant spark of her audacity. Her eyes, sharp and gleaming, followed every move, her lips curved in a smile that promised victory. Across the aisle, Bertha Wilson slumped, her frumpy dress clinging to her frame, her blonde bun now a disheveled mess. Raymond Holt, her lawyer, fidgeted with his tie, his confidence eroding like sand under a wave. Judge Harold Grayson's gavel cracked, silencing the buzz. Miss Nguyen, You mentioned security footage. Proceed with your evidence." His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of intrigue, as if he sensed the trial's turning point. Maya Nguyen rose, her navy blazer crisp, her demeanor a blade honed for precision. "Your Honor, we present footage from the Grand Elegance's lobby camera, recorded on the day of the incident." She gestured to a screen wheeled into the courtroom, its blank surface a canvas for truth. Cartier leaned forward, her hair brushing her shoulder, her smile sharpening. She whispered to Maya, "This is it. She's done." The lights dimmed, and the video flickered to life. The lobby of the Grand Elegance appeared, marble floors, chandeliers glinting, but all eyes were on Bertha, her bulky figure blocking Cartier's path. The footage, though silent, was damning. Bertha's finger jabbed aggressively, her face twisted in a scowl, her body language screaming hostility. Cartier stood tall, her red suit a beacon, responding with controlled but fiery gestures. The crowd gasped as Bertha leaned in, her posture unmistakably confrontational, before Cartier's sharp retort sent her reeling back. The gallery erupted in murmurs. A young activist in the back whispered, "That's no ID check." A reporter tweeted, "Video nails Bertha. No way she's innocent. #Cardi Avs Bertha." Maya paused the footage, turning to the judge. "Your Honor, this clearly shows Miss Wilson initiating a hostile confrontation, contradicting her claim of simply doing her job. Her actions were aggressive, targeted, and, as prior testimony suggests, racially motivated." Holt shot up, his face flushed. "Objection. The video lacks audio. We can't confirm what was said." His voice cracked, desperation seeping through. Grayson's eyes narrowed. "Overruled. The footage speaks for itself. Continue, Miss Nguyen." Maya turned to Bertha, still on the stand, her tissue now a tattered rag. "Miss Wilson, care to explain why you were jabbing your finger at my client like she was a threat? Or why you leaned in so aggressively? Does that look like a routine ID check to you?" Bertha stammered, her eyes darting. "I was just asking who she was. She overreacted." But her voice faltered, drowned by the gallery's skeptical murmurs. A spectator muttered, "She's lying through her teeth." Another posted on X, "Bertha's toast. That video's a knockout. #Justice for Cardi." Cartier's smile widened, her crop top catching the light as she leaned back, whispering to Maya, "She's sinking fast. Keep pushing." Maya nodded, producing another document. "Your Honor, this is the Grand Elegance's security protocol. It requires guards to request ID politely, without physical intimidation. Miss Wilson's actions violate this policy, as the footage shows." The courtroom buzzed louder, phones lighting up with posts. "Cartier's team is relentless. #billion-dollar beef." Grayson studied the document, his brow furrowing. "Miss Wilson," he said, "did you follow protocol in your interaction with Miss Cartier?" Bertha's lips trembled. I tried to, Your Honor. She just attacked me." But the lie crumbled under the weight of the video, her words sounding hollow. The gallery's murmurs grew into a roar, a woman shouting, "Tell the truth!" Grayson banged his gavel, but the crowd's energy was unstoppable. Holt, sweating now, tried to salvage his case. "Miss Wilson, focus on the impact. How did Miss Cartier's words affect you?" Bertha's voice was barely audible. "She called me fat and rude. I couldn't face anyone after that." But her tears, once a weapon, now seemed pathetic, overshadowed by the footage's undeniable truth. As the session broke, Cartier stood, her red suit aflame in the chaos. Spectators snapped photos, their cheers echoing. She leaned toward Maya, her hair flowing. "We've got her on the ropes." Outside, reporters swarmed, shouting questions, while X buzzed, "Cartier's truth is winning. #justice for Cardi." The footage had shifted the trial's tide, but the battle wasn't over. Would Bertha's team find a way to twist the narrative? Could Cartier's fire carry her to victory? If this showdown's got you gripped, hit subscribe, share where you're reading from, and guess, how will Bertha squirm next? And will Cartier's truth burn brighter? The trial's climax is coming, and you won't want to miss it. The courtroom thrummed with electric anticipation, its walls vibrating with the crowd's restless energy. Spectators craned their necks, phones poised to capture every moment, while reporters tweeted furiously, their posts lighting up X. Cartier's about to testify. #billion-dollar beef. Cardi rose from the defense table, a vision of unyielding power. Her long, straight hair, parted 7/3, cascaded like a dark cascade, glinting under the courtroom's harsh lights. Her red suit hugged her frame, the white crop top beneath flashing defiance, a bold emblem of her unbreakable spirit. She strode to the witness stand, her heels clicking like a metronome of confidence, her eyes blazing with a fire that silenced the room. Bertha Wilson across the aisle shrank into her seat, her frumpy dress and disheveled bun, a stark contrast to Cartier's radiance. Raymond Holt, her lawyer, gripped his notes, his face slick with sweat. Judge Harold Grayson adjusted his glasses, his stern gaze softening with curiosity. "Miss Cartier, you're up. Miss Nguyen, proceed." Maya Nguyen stood, her navy blazer sharp, her voice a velvet blade. "Miss Cartier, tell us what happened in the lobby of the Grand Elegance that day." Cartier leaned forward, her smile a razor's edge. "I was heading home, minding my business, when Miss Wilson blocked my path like she was guarding Fort Knox. She didn't ask for my ID, she demanded to know why I was there, saying the Grand Elegance was for white folks with real money. I told her I'm a resident, but she doubled down, sneering like I was trespassing in my own home." The gallery murmured, a wave of indignation rippling through. A young man in the back nodded, whispering, "That's right." Maya's eyes gleamed. "And how did you respond to this?" Cartier's laugh was a spark in the room. "I called her what she was acting like, fat and rude. If she's suing me for $500 billion over that, I'd like to countersue her for wasting my time with her prejudice. Maybe I'll bill her for every second I've spent fighting her lies." The courtroom erupted in laughter, spectators clapping until Grayson's gavel cracked. "Order!" he barked, though a faint smile tugged at his lips. Holt leapt up, his voice shrill. "Miss Cartier, you admit to slandering my client in public, causing her emotional distress?" His hands shook, clutching his pen like a lifeline. Cartier tilted her head, her hair flowing like a banner. "Slander? Mr. Holt, I spoke the truth. She was rude and her attitude was bigger than her ego. If that's worth $500 billion, I should start selling my honesty on the stock market." The gallery roared, a woman shouting, "Preach, Cardi!" X exploded. "Cartier's roasting Holt. #justice for Cardi." Holt's face reddened. "You humiliated her in front of residents. She had to quit her job." He pointed at Cartier, desperate to regain control. "Humiliated?" Cartier's eyes flashed. "She humiliated herself by thinking she could gatekeep my home because I'm black. I've faced worse than her sneers, Mr. Holt, and I'm still standing. If she can't handle a taste of her own medicine, maybe she should have thought twice before opening her mouth." The crowd cheered, phones flashing as posts flooded. "Cartier's dropping truth bombs. #billion-dollar beef." Grayson banged his gavel, but his eyes sparkled with intrigue. "Enough, Miss Cartier, Mr. Holt. Any further questions?" Holt, floundering, tried one last jab. "You claim she targeted you for your race, but where's the proof? The video has no audio." His voice cracked, betraying his panic. Cartier leaned back, her crop top catching the light. "Proof? Mr. Holt?" Her actions screamed louder than words. "You saw the video. She wasn't checking my ID. She was checking my skin. And Mr. Carter's testimony. That's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. Want more proof? Ask the other residents she's harassed. I'm sure they've got stories." The gallery buzzed, a reporter tweeting, "Cartier's calling out the pattern. #justice for Cardi." Maya stepped in, her voice calm but lethal. "Your Honor, my client's testimony aligns with the footage and Mr. Carter's account, establishing Miss Wilson's discriminatory intent." She glanced at Cartier, a nod of approval. Cartier returned it, her smile a silent vow. She was here to win. As the session adjourned, Cartier stepped down, her red suit a beacon in the chaos. Spectators surged to their feet, cheering while reporters shouted questions. X lit up. "Cartier owned that stand. Bertha's done. #billion-dollar beef." Bertha slumped, her face buried in her hands, while Holt whispered frantically to her, his case unraveling. Cartier caught Maya's eye, whispering, "We're closing in." The truth was a wildfire now, burning through Bertha's lies. Could Holt salvage anything from this wreckage? Would the final evidence seal Bertha's fate? If this trial's got you on edge, hit subscribe, share where you're reading from, and guess, will Bertha's lies collapse, or will she pull a last trick? The showdown's peaking, and Cartier's ready to reign. The courtroom crackled with a tension so thick it seemed to hum, its oak-paneled walls absorbing the crowd's fevered anticipation. Spectators gripped their seats, phones flashing as ex-posts surged. "Closing arguments! Cartier's gonna slay! #billion-dollar beef!" Cartier sat at the defense table, her long, straight hair parted 7/3, shimmering like a dark crown under the lights. Her red suit blazed, the white crop top beneath a bold slash of defiance, her eyes alight with a fire that dared anyone to challenge her. She was no longer just a defendant. She was a movement, her presence electrifying the room. Across the aisle, Bertha Wilson slumped, her frumpy dress a faded shadow, her blonde bun a tangled wreck. Raymond Holt, her lawyer, clutched his notes, his face pale, knowing his case hung by a thread. Judge Harold Grayson banged his gavel, his glasses glinting with authority. "Counsel, your closing arguments." His voice was steady, but his eyes flicked to Cartier, a spark of admiration betraying his stern facade. The gallery leaned in, breathless, sensing the trial's crescendo. Holt rose, his tie askew, his voice strained. "Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client, Miss Bertha Wilson, was a hard-working security guard, simply doing her job when Miss Cartier unleashed a vicious verbal assault. Calling her fat and rude in public caused profound emotional distress, loss of employment, sleepless nights, and psychological trauma requiring therapy. We're not here to debate her actions. We're here to address the harm inflicted. $500 billion is a fair price for such devastation. Justice demands accountability for Miss Cartier's reckless words." The gallery murmured, skeptical. A reporter tweeted, "Holt's reaching with that $500 billion claim. #Cartier's Bertha." Cartier's lips twitched, her eyes glinting with amusement. She whispered to Maya Nguyen, her lawyer, "He's grasping at straws now." Maya nodded, her navy blazer crisp, her pen poised like a weapon. Maya stood, her voice a velvet blade cutting through the room. "Your Honor, jury, let's be clear. This case isn't about words, it's about truth. Miss Wilson initiated this conflict by targeting my client with blatant racial prejudice, telling her she didn't belong at the Grand Elegance because she's black. The security footage, Mr. Carter's testimony, and the complaint log prove a pattern of discrimination. Miss Cartier's response was a defense of her dignity, not an attack. To demand $500 billion for distress while ignoring Miss Wilson's bigotry is not justice. It's a mockery. We ask you to see the truth and dismiss this baseless claim." The crowd erupted in applause, a woman shouting, "That's right, Maya." Grayson's gavel cracked, but his eyes betrayed a nod of respect. X buzzed, "Maya's closing is fire. Bertha's done. #justice for Cardi." Cartier's smile widened, her hair catching the light as she leaned back, her crop top flashing defiance. Grayson turned to the parties. "Miss Wilson, Miss Cartier, you each have 1 minute for a final statement." Bertha shuffled to the stand, her voice quivering, her tissue a tattered prop. "I was just doing my job," she whispered, tears streaming. "She humiliated me, called me names in front of everyone. I can't work, can't sleep. I just want justice." Her words fell flat, the gallery's silence deafening, her victim's act crumbling under the weight of exposed lies. Cardi arose, her red suit aflame, her hair flowing like a banner. She strode to the stand, her heels clicking with purpose, her eyes locking on the jury. "Your Honor, jury, I don't deny calling Miss Wilson fat and rude. She earned it. She stood in my home, my sanctuary, and told me I didn't belong because I'm black. I've fought that kind of hate my whole life, and I'll keep fighting it. If my words hurt her feelings, maybe she should have thought twice before attacking my existence. And if honesty's worth $500 billion, I'd like to sue her for wasting my time and yours." She flashed a grin, sharp and unapologetic. Justice isn't about money, it's about truth. The courtroom exploded, spectators leaping to their feet, cheering. A young activist yelled, "Speak, Cardi!" Phones lit up with X-posts. "Cartier just dropped a mic. Hash $1 billion beef." Grayson banged his gavel, but his lips twitched with a suppressed smile. "Order!" he called, though the crowd's energy was unstoppable. Bertha buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking, while Holt whispered frantically, his case in tatters. As the jury filed out to deliberate, Cartier returned to her seat, her hair gleaming, her smile a silent vow of victory. Maya leaned in, whispering, "You own that." Cartier nodded, her eyes on the jury door. The truth was out, a wildfire burning through Bertha's lies. Would the jury see it? Could Holt pull a last-minute trick? The verdict loomed, a moment that could redefine justice. If this showdown's got your heart racing, hit subscribe, share where you're reading from, and guess, will the jury crown Cartier's truth, or will Bertha's lies find a foothold? The final act's coming, and it's going to be epic. The courtroom held its breath, the silence so thick it seemed to pulse with the city's heartbeat. Spectators sat on the edge of their seats, phones poised, as X buzzed with anticipation. Verdict's coming. Cartier's truth will win. Hash $1 billion beef. Cartier stood at the defense table, a beacon of defiance, her long, straight hair parted 7/3, gleaming like polished obsidian. Her red suit burned against the room's muted tones, the white crop top beneath a bold slash of confidence. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, locked on the jury door, her lips curved in a smile that dared fate to deny her. Across the aisle, Bertha Wilson slumped, her frumpy dress a wilted shadow, her blonde bun a tangled ruin. Raymond Holt, her lawyer, gripped his briefcase, his face ashen, knowing the end was near. Judge Harold Grayson entered, his robes sweeping, his glasses glinting with authority. The gallery hushed, every rustle stilled. "The jury has reached a verdict," he announced, his voice a low rumble. The foreman, a middle-aged woman with a steady gaze, rose. Cartier's heart thudded, but her stance remained regal, her hair flowing like a banner. Maya Nguyen, her lawyer, gave her a nod, her navy blazer crisp, her eyes alight with quiet confidence. "We find the defendant, Miss Cartier, not liable for the claims of emotional distress," the foreman said. "The plaintiff's demand for $500 billion is dismissed as baseless. Furthermore, we recommend that the Grand Elegance implement mandatory anti-discrimination training for its staff." The courtroom erupted, cheers and applause thundering like a storm. Reporters tweeted furiously, "Cardi wins! Bertha's case crushed! Hash justice for Cardi!" Cartier's smile blazed, a supernova of triumph. She turned, her eyes locking on Bertha, who buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Slowly, deliberately, Cartier raised 2 fingers, index and middle, pointing straight at Bertha, her grin sharp and unapologetic. "Think twice before you come for me again, Bertha," she said, her voice low but caring, slicing through the chaos. The gallery roared, a young activist shouting, "That's our queen!" X exploded. "Cartier's 2-finger salute is iconic. Hash $1 billion beef." Grayson banged his gavel, but his lips twitched with a suppressed smile. "Order," he called, though the crowd's energy was uncontainable. "Miss Wilson, Miss Cartier, this court is adjourned." Bertha stumbled from her seat, Holt guiding her out, his face a mask of defeat. The crowd parted, their whispers a mix of disdain and pity. Outside, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, shouting questions. "Miss Wilson, will you appeal?" Bertha ducked away, her silence louder than any defense. Cartier strode out, her red suit aflame, her hair catching the sunlight streaming through the courthouse windows. Maya walked beside her, a rare smile breaking her usual stoicism. "You didn't just win, you changed the game," Maya said. Cartier laughed, her voice a melody of victory. "I told you, Maya, this was my stage." Spectators surged forward, some snapping photos, others offering fist bumps. A young black woman, tears in her eyes, whispered, "Thank you, Cardi." Cartier squeezed her hand, her heart swelling. This wasn't just her triumph. It was theirs. The city buzzed with the news. X posts flooded in. Cartier's victory is for all of us. Hash justice for Cardi. News vans lined the streets, anchors breathlessly recounting the trial's drama. Back at the Grand Elegance, management issued a statement promising anti-bias training, but the damage was done. Bertha was fired that evening, her name a footnote in disgrace. Word spread that she'd left the city, slipping away to a small town, her bravado buried under the weight of her exposed prejudice. Cartier returned to her penthouse, the skyline glittering beyond her windows. She stood by the glass, her red suit still on, the white crop top a symbol of her unbroken spirit. Lena, her journalist friend, called, her voice electric. Cardi, you're trending worldwide. They're calling you the Queen of Justice. What's next? Cartier smiled, her reflection fierce. Next, I keep fighting. For me, for us, for truth. She hung up, her eyes on the city, a promise to herself. No one would dim her light again. The trial's echo rippled beyond the courtroom. Community groups launched anti-discrimination campaigns, citing Cartier's stand. Her startup gained investors, her name now synonymous with courage. The Grand Elegance, once a fortress of privilege, began to change, its residents nodding to her in the lobby with respect, not whispers. Cartier's victory wasn't just legal, it was a spark, igniting conversations about race, power, and justice. As the city settled into its rhythm, Cartier's story lingered, a beacon for those who'd been told they didn't belong. What would her next battle be? How would her fire reshape the world? If this saga's got you fired up, hit subscribe, share where you're reading from, and tell us, what's your guess for Cartier's next move? Her story's not over, and the world's watching. Cartier's triumph lit up the city, a beacon of justice that burned brighter than the skyline. Her story, fierce, unyielding, and true, left hearts racing and minds ablaze. What did her victory spark in you? Did her fire inspire you to stand taller, speak louder, or fight harder? Drop your thoughts below, share where you're reading from, and let us know. What moment hit you hardest? Your voice matters, and we're grateful you joined this journey. Thank you for riding this wave with us, for cheering Cartier's truth. Hit subscribe to catch the next saga, because the world's still turning, and new stories are waiting. See you soon wherever you are, for another tale that'll grip your soul.